This is Short Hammer. It is the 5th of April, 2020, and this is Trading Zones. First up, we're looking at the ES, and I think we all expected a bigger drop last week in the overall markets when we had just a lot of negative data come out, bad job information, and we thought that the market would really go down, and it didn't. In fact, we kind of held up a little bit. So what are we thinking for this week? Well, based on the area where we closed, I would keep an eye on the 2442s. Look at all these taps on the daily chart of us testing, but not closing below or holding below, not getting significant push to the downside. To the upside, look at the 2598 area. Above that 2636, above 2636, we had two taps, but we had no push above, close above, significant drive above the 2630s. So what I'm watching for this week is the extension beyond those points. And if we extend below the 2442 and test the 2406, I would be looking for potentially new lows. So we'll see how that works. But the levels below 2442 are 2406, 2339, 2316, and then 2276 before we hit that 2198, 2185 area. To the upside, we're watching 2598, 2636, a break above that, 2697, then 2789. So we'll see if we can hit the 2800s to the upside. But I do expect more downside just because even with the stimulus, there are issues with the businesses that are trying to get the claim the grants and the funding, and it's just all these different things that are going on, and also what was going on with the negotiations between our president and I believe it was Russia and Saudi Arabia over the oil didn't quite go as planned. Now I believe they said that Canada and the U.S. are considering putting sanctions on Saudi and Russia oil. So we'll see how all this works out this week. But there's still a lot of stuff floating. So, don't be too heavy to either side unless you're willing to risk it. I wouldn't say no risk it, no biscuit. So just be careful. Let's check out the Russell. See what we've got here. So on the Russell didn't make new lows, but it is a bit weaker than the S&P. So we are right around that 1,053 point. And so what we want to look for is, do we get through the 1,027? Below that, we have 1,002, then 990. Then we have the lower 949.20s. We'll see if that happens. To the upside, we have 1,069. Above that, 1,138. And above that, 1,178. What I would want to see is extension beyond this 1,178 to the upside if we're going to climb. I'd love to see a breakout that way if we're going to be bullish. But if we're going to be bearish, I definitely would love us to drop below these bottoms around the 949 area. That's what I'm watching on the Russell. Pulling up Amazon. Now, Amazon, let's check the 4-hour also. See where we are. So the 4-hour, we're right around what looks to be 1902. Interesting area. So if we look across, and let's pop this on the daily. I just wanted to see what the price was. So below we have 1885-ish. And if we look, this is the daily, remember, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We could not advance below the 1885 area. We see some candle structure here, some interactions here. And if we go back further, I'm sure we'll see more interactions around this 1885 area where we were trying to make a decision up or down. You can see it here, this segment, that segment, this segment here. So that's actually pretty interesting. So we want to see if price will advance below the 1885 this week if we're bearish. And the next level below that we have is the 1850s, the 1830s. The 1830s put us back in that channel that we were stuck in for about a month and some change after the July earnings. And that 1830 channel goes down to 1747-ish, I believe. So that's something to watch. So below the 1830s, we have 1824s, 1805s, 1798s, and 1792s. To the upside, we've got 1916, 1934, 1955. Now take a close look at this 1955 area. What's interesting is that if we see these multiple taps and touches or approaches to that area that were just rejected, we can get follow-on bullish candlestick structure. I do believe if we get above the 1955s and we see strength and increased volume, that we will definitely see a nice little move to the upside. And you hate to say definitely as stocks because you know how news could just take you in a totally different direction, especially these days. But I'll be watching the 2001 area. So we'll see if that happens. But I am definitely more bearish on the market, feeling as if there is more downside just based on all the data that's swirling and that people aren't working. I mean, if people aren't working, then there's a tremendous blow the economy is taking. And no matter how many stimulus packages that you do, we haven't solved the core underlying problem of people being unable to get back to their normal days, normal work, normal commerce, just because we don't have a cure yet. So we'll see how long the market can keep from making new 2-3 week lows. So we'll see. Next up, let's take a peek at Netflix. So Netflix is above this trend line. I believe this trend line extends back to September. I could be wrong. Yep. And we are above that. What does that mean? Well, if it doesn't hold, not a whole lot. So what we want to watch for is we are right around, let me double check the 4-hour really quickly and see what that's telling me. So we are right around this 361 area. That's one of our supply demand areas. So what we want to look for, and you can see that we've had a lot of, I'll say, disagreements between buyers and sellers in this area. So to the downside, what we have is 343, 335, then 330. To the upside, we have 370, then 384. 384, as I repeated in our last video, is very interesting because that was an area that, let's go to the daily chart, make it easier. As you'll see, that was an area that held since 2018. So if we do happen to push back up here, I would definitely be looking for the sellers to push us back to the downside and buyers to be slightly hesitant to see if we can get an explosion and a hold and bullish candlestick structure above those 384s. So watching this for a back test into the trend line, but I'm primarily watching these supply demand lines to see if we get bullish or bearish reactions when we test those. So we'll see how that shakes out. And I know a lot of people are thinking with Netflix, there's so many people that are home right now that their viewership should be going through the roof. But they have a lot of stiff competition. You know, Disney's out there. There's a few other companies that are challenging Netflix for viewership and for eyeballs. So they just have a lot of challenges, and we'll see when their earnings. Let's see. So it looks like the earnings are the 21st of April. They may delay that. So we'll see if they delay or they choose not to give guidance based on the coronavirus. But I would expect their viewership to be up, but we will see how they executed on that. Let's move over to NVDA. NVIDIA, check the 4-hour, see what we're looking like. So we're right around that 242 area, which is right above our 242.12 supply demand area. So to the downside, if you're bearish, we have 238, then 230, and below that 221. To the upside, we have 250. Oh, no, my fault. 247, then 252, then above that 260. What I'll be watching, if I'm watching this, is look at this pause here around 256. We couldn't get an advance on the price multiple days. So if we get above that, maybe we will go up into this 260 whole dollar area. And look here, we couldn't advance price and hold below the 242s. So if we do advance and hold below, maybe we not only see the 238s, but maybe that opens up the 230s for us also. You see the candle structure here. So that'll be interesting to watch on NVIDIA. Next up, we have Microsoft and Microsoft. So to the downside on Microsoft, look at these lower wicks where it was just battling, did not want to go down. So we're above this 152.26 area. So what we want to watch for is, do we hold that? And if we don't, watch the 147.53, then the 141.51 to the upside. Keep an eye on the 156, the 160, then the 163. What we would want is a close on the daily chart above this 156, then bullish candlestick formation similar to this, pushing us back up into the 163 area if you're bullish. That's what you'd like to see. A test of this 200 right here. And a nice little push to the upside. Pardon me. And Intel. What are we doing, Intel? So, Intel had a little bit of wiggle to it this week. Couldn't get over the 55.71s. Look at that. The last time we were over that was early March. So what we want to see is a break above 55 and a hold, and see bullish candlestick structure to the upside if you're bullish. If you're bearish, you kind of want us to get below this 51.11 and really get some sell side activity to push us to the downside. So we're right around 53. To the downside, we have 53.50s, below that 51s, below that 49s. To the upside, we have 55s, 56s, and then 58s. So to be specific, it's like 56.91, 58.85. Those are the levels we're watching to the upside. Also 55.71. Look at these upper wicks here. We couldn't get advancement on price. So that's actually really interesting. Let's go back to the daily chart. And you can see it. Yeah, this is interesting. So we'll see how this shakes out. But we could take this little, almost a mini channel from the 51.11s to the 55.78s. We could take that area and technically say, so it's just going to be, we're probably going to see an extension one way or the other. And if not, at least you have the range. So would I short here in expectation of us going back down? Depends on the market and how it's set up. But definitely watch these levels. See if we, extend below the 51s and extend above the 55s. Those may be good areas to enter, either as a counter trend trade or as a break above, back test hold, bullish structure, break below, back test hold, bearish candlestick structures to the downside. So those could be some good areas to watch on Intel. Next up, we have Tesla. Now, Tesla, we did pull back and test the 380s. Nice pushback up out of that. What are we watching for this upcoming week? So Tesla, we want to see, let's check the 4 hour. Take me to the 3 hour and the 4 hour. Come on. Let's get it done. So 475. So what we see on Tesla, didn't really drop insanely. Flip to the daily here. So what we want to see is if you're bullish, you want to see a higher high here and more volume in the push to the upside. So we're watching Tesla. We're right above this 518. Actually, no, we're down here at 480. So we're right in it's like the 475 area. I wonder why this is looking so weird. I have to double check this. But what we want to look for to the upside, let me go with my 4 hour chart to make sure I'm giving you accurate levels. Okay, to the downside, watch 473. Below that, 454. Look at that double tap, that's nice. Then 435, then 404. To the upside, 485, 498, then 518.62, then 546. What we really want to see is advancement in price above these 540s And if you're bearish, you want to see just a decrease in selling activity below the 450s. That's what I'll be watching for on Tesla. I believe they just released some pretty good numbers. People are pretty excited. But I believe that after China opened back up, they ended up shutting down quite a few cities because they had another outbreak. I might be wrong on that. Please double check that. But keep an eye out, because even though they've had a little bit of good news the last few days, you never know what the sales may be going forward, and what's the outlook, and what is their guidance. So there's just a few different things to watch with a company like Tesla to see if they end up guiding down, if they end up giving any numbers, or what may come out from them as they try to keep this stock up. Let's see, next up, take a peek at Zoom. That took off once the coronavirus hit. So what are we watching for here? So we did have a pullback. I believe there was news that they had vulnerability to hacking. And so people that were having live meetings may have been having a few issues. So what we want to watch for on Zoom is to the downside, 119.40s, but look at these taps. Held that like a boss. Below that 113, and below that 105. To the upside, watch 130, 136, and 143. Above the 136s, I would definitely look for a squeeze into the 143s, maybe higher. But that's the initial level of supply that I think is actually pretty strong. 130s are here, but looking at this candle structure, they may not be as strong as the 136 level. Walmart. So what are we doing? I think everyone's expecting Walmart to rocket with the amount of toilet paper that they're selling. But be careful. I'm not sure when their earnings come out or how it would look, or if they're even going to give any numbers. But to the downside, keep an eye out for the 116.59s, below that 114s, below that 112s. To the upside, watch out for 120s, 125s, and 128 on Walmart. McDonald's. So if we take a peek at McDonald's, I believe they are doing well. The majority of McDonald's that I've seen have drive-throughs, and you do have the ability to have them delivered to your house, I believe, through, is it DoorDash, or is it, I'm trying to remember, or Grubhub. But to the downside, watch out for 154, below that 148, then 142. To the upside, watch the 161 area, above that 171, then 178. It looks like if we get above the 171s, we should see a little bit of bullish incursion, and maybe a push to the 178s. So that's interesting on McDonald's. So if you like this video, don't hesitate to tap that like button. And if you would like to receive more videos like this, subscribe to our channel, Power of Pivots, where you can look forward to receiving content from me, but also from Elisa, as she shows you how she utilizes her Power of Pivot script to get great intraday plays on the futures, and also great swing plays and setups. Thank you so much. Stay safe and have a wonderful week trading. Also, P.S., remember, I believe that we're closed on Friday for Good Friday. So this is only a 4-day trading week.